Susan Axelrod here, confidence coach. Today is March 31st, and it is live at 5 with confidence coach Susan Axelrod. How are you today? It's Tuesday, so we're already into the week. I'm having a little bit of trouble, like I know other people are, remembering what day of the week it is. I have all my regular calls scheduled, and I'm filling in my schedule with miscellaneous Zoom calls. People are reaching out to me, asking if they can connect with me, speak with me. I have people from high school and college reaching out to connect. I have friends and family, and really that is the very, very best thing to be doing these days. I have a lot to talk about today. I have a couple of very big things on my mind that I am so happy to share with you and discuss with you, and I'm very, very interested what you have to say about these topics. But before I do, I want to share a daily awakening card with you. I have these daily cards. You know how I feel that it's so important, more important than ever, to really be awake today. And that's why I read one of my daily awakening cards every day. And that's part of what we're going to talk about in today's Live at 5. So let me show you the one that I select. How do you experience the nourishing aspect of silence? How I speak in the silence of my own being is how I speak to others. This is so, so important. Why? Because so many of us are experiencing silence today if we shut down social media for a while, right? Many of us are more alone than we've been in a long, long time. And so we really are faced with silence, almost so much so that it's deafening, and or really being faced with the inner silence, which actually scares a lot of people, facing their own inner silence, which is one of the reasons it's hard for people to do meditation sometimes or clear. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you for joining me today. So let me read this to you one more time. Very important. How do you experience the nourishing aspect of silence? How I speak in the silence of my own being is how I speak to others. One of the things I talk about in my coaching is how we speak to ourselves. Hi, Marianne. Thank you for joining me today, talking about silence. I know we were talking the other day, I think on one of my lives, or I can't remember. I'm doing lives in multiple groups now. So, and we were talking about, or Zoom calls or something, about being alone and really having it be very silent. And so how we speak in the silence to ourselves is often how we speak to others. All right, folks, listen up, pay attention. I have a really big thing to discuss with you today. I want to invite you to join me on a journey that is going to start tomorrow. The journey is to the outlook of good. The journey is to the outlook of good. I have a thesis, I have intuition, these things come up to me, I don't know where they come from, but they sort of bear out time and again. I have a theory or a thesis that people have sort of been hanging on in the month of March. If we go back to the date of March 1st, everything in the entire world was different. Now, certainly things were happening in other parts of the world, but we here in our country, for example, were not paying attention or tending to them or realizing it in the same way. But for us, everything was different on March 1st. March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, day after day, we were beginning, there was some openings, we were beginning to get inklings, and then we were asking ourselves questions and this and that. But really, it wasn't until the middle of the month, just a very few weeks ago, that we really started to hear truth and really started to have a different kind of realization about how life was going to be for a while. And then some of us hunkered down. Some of us really said, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm going to take personal responsibility for myself. And in so doing, I'm going to also be responsible to the greater good. The people who were on the beaches, having the parties in the bars, going out, socializing, not distancing, those people have whatever their responsibility is. You know, I don't know what was going on in their minds or whatever, but they either didn't know from ignorance, or maybe it was selfishness, not considering the greater good. But one of the things that I've been realizing very deeply is people are processing things differently. People's executive functioning skills, the skills that help us with decision making and choices and that kind of thing, it functions differently. Some people is more honed, they process quickly. Some people are slower, they process slowly, they have a difficult time with change, etc. So in any way, shape, or form, we got from the beginning of the month to the middle of the month, and now the middle of the month to the end of the month. History will show that March 2020 was defining in our times. In the annals of history of the world, March 2020 will really be a defining time. Now, what happened as we got into the middle of the month and beyond, closer to now, is many of us started really settling ourselves in. We had to, go home. Schools were closed, jobs were closed, and we started doing what we really needed to do. In the beginning, for days, maybe a week, people were like, oh, I have time. I don't have to put on makeup. I get to work from home, all these things. And, there was this sort of newness and weirdness, while at the same time, parents with children at home were in total and utter and complete chaos, as was the entire school system in the entire country, both at all the way up through the higher education. Most of us had some kind of ending date in our mind. I believe that most of us had some kind of ending date, like, okay, I could do this for a while. The closest ending date that was coming was March 31st. We began to hear even, April 1st, April 2nd, you'll be fine, we'll get back to normal. Okay, stores will be closed through the end of March, etc. Now we know it's going to be a minimum of 60 more days. It may be 30, it may be 60, it may be 90. It's going to go on and on. But regardless, I think that I want us, anybody who's listening to me, who hears me, to realize that from today to tomorrow and the next day, there's going to be a very, very big shift in the country. I can't speak about the world. I'm not equipped to speak about the world. I don't know anything about the world, but I just want to speak about our country that I could feel and imagine. And that is, I think there's going to be a very big shift. I think people are getting serious. I think people who hadn't been paying attention are beginning to pay attention more. I think that this is in part coming because they're being shamed by other people for their judgment or lack of judgment or decisions or whatever. But I think that then the people who already had for 2 weeks been hunkered down, laying in, right? Nesting a little bit, maybe trying to find toilet paper and such, and trying to get organized at home. Those people are going to be looking at 60 more days of this and feeling bereft. I would like to say that we are going to be okay. I want to be one of the voices to say directly to you, we are going to be okay. There is going to be a lot of difficulty and sadness and even tragedy. But in general, we are going to be okay. If you are one of the people who is hit with the extreme difficulty and the extreme tragedy, and that looks like whatever it is in your own mind, I don't define that for you, then I hope and pray that you either have a faith to fall back on, some kind of support system, some kind of team, and your own strength of personal conviction to support and sustain you. For anybody who is not hit with the extreme difficulty or the tragedy, I'm really speaking to you. It's our job, it's our responsibility to begin to move our mindset to the idea that we are okay and that we are going to be okay. That doesn't mean we'll be perfect. Anybody who knows me knows what I mean by okay, right? That doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. It means there will continue to be compromises, and there will continue to be even further actually moving from compromise, which is what we have been experiencing, into sacrifice. We don't know about sacrifice. You know, middle class America doesn't really know about sacrifice yet, but you are going to know about it. Even still, we're going to be okay. How do I know this? I know this from history. I know this from people who have numbers on their arms, who ended up living beautiful lives in blessing and riches beyond which their minds could even conceive during the most horrible, horrific time in life that was inconceivable. We know this from people who grew up in poverty and, you know, battled through poverty or violence, and they came forward. You know, they moved forward and they got through in life to a different place. That doesn't mean that they didn't experience what they experienced, but somehow they moved forward on the train to being okay in life. We know this from people who have battled disease and illness. In my own family, there was a time 17 or 18 years ago that we thought we were not going to be okay. And in the end, by a miracle and the grace of God, and I don't know what all, we are all alive and well and here today, creating crazy in the world. But there was a time in my very own family with one of my family members that we thought it was all going to be over. And yet here we are today with me sitting here able to say this to you because I have that sense of, thank God, that we were among the blessed to be able to say we were okay. I know this because I know people, I could think of, unfortunately, my God, people just started flooding into my head who have lost children. They have lost children. And somehow, through the grace of God, and perhaps, or strength, personal strength of conviction, through family, through love, through the team, through the atmosphere, through the support of Mother Earth. I don't know how you get up the next day, but they did. They got up the next day, and then they got up the day after that. I just thought of another person. Right now in my head, I can think of 6 people I personally know who are on this journey after losing their child. I just literally. And yet here they are also today worrying about whether or not there's enough toilet paper. Somehow they get up and they breathe. And somehow they also have continued forward. So I could go on and on with more examples about how you can get from not okay, way back here, moving forward step by step, day by day, sometimes moment by moment, to okay, where you keep moving forward. We are going to be okay. Now I want to ask you, what will it take for you to be okay? What will it take for you to be okay? I'm sorry, I'm just turning off my phone. I have been speaking more and more about self-care. This morning I created a new section on my website on self-care. I'm sharing self-care tips. I'm sharing an at-home exercise workout, a very simple exercise workout. I coined something new called SMR, Simple Movement Routine. Every day, what's your SMR? Wake up and ask yourself, what's my SMR today? What's my simple movement routine? Why? Because we know it is proven, as research shows, that movement helps your mind. Movement creates flow and raises your endorphins, and it helps your mind and therefore your mood. So what's my SMR today? Who's your accountability partner? I said to my very own sister today, she was telling me about a couple of different friends she's been in touch with, and I said to her, "Oh, I want to encourage you to think about, asking two different people if, on a different day at a different time, each one would be an accountability partner. So you get two touch bases over the course of a week. Maybe one is focused on like fitness and exercise, and another is focused on creativity or book discussion, whatever it is. What are the systems that you can put in place for yourself so that you can be okay? I want to encourage you to ask yourself that question. I hope that it will include some kind of movement. Create your own SMR, simple movement routine. I hope that it will create some kind of creativity. I hope it will include some kind of creativity. I hope it will include some kind of mindful consciousness activity. Perhaps it might be a meditation or prayer. Perhaps it might be silence. Whatever it is for you that can support you. Your plan might also include some kind of organizational systems. I think that as we go, we cross over as the clock crosses over midnight in each of the time zones today, as we suddenly are looking at April 1st and knowing that we have 60 days more at least, and it might be much longer than that. And where we may not be, where we won't have it be what we formerly knew as normal. There is no going back to the way things were. There is no going back. There's no going back. We only go forward in life. We never, ever go back. And so again, I want to invite you to ask yourself, how will you go forward? What will forward look like to you? These questions that I'm sharing with you today are absolutely vital. I can tell you I'm asking them myself. I'm thinking about them. Everybody knows I go out and I do my walks with Mr. Cooper. Today I did go visit my elderly parents, but we met outside and there was space between us. My father really couldn't come out, but my mother did. And we shared a sandwich at a distance and we talked. We didn't talk about anything important. I did ask her to do an inventory for the next 60 days, but we just came, we just were able to see each other, even though we were extremely responsible about keeping distance. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. I want to let you know we are going to be okay. And if at any time you need to hear all those reasons why I know we're going to be okay, please go ahead and play this recording of this live. The videos live on my website, on my Facebook page, and I upload them to my YouTube channel. Ask yourself the question, ask people around you, and if you need to call me, please do. I'm available. All right, folks, so that's it for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the new leaders of the new normal. It's women. So if you're a woman, I hope you'll join me tomorrow because the world is waiting and available for your leadership. Okay? All right, friends. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow for Live at 5. Bye-bye.